Mr. Serrano just hung up the phone, a look of immense satisfaction on his face. Leveraging my particular skills, I had just funneled over $12 million across 4 countries and through 12 banks, successfully cleaning his funds and shielding him from any governmental scrutiny. My name is Alex Cole. I've built a reputation for being exceptionally skilled at moving money, concealing assets, and protecting individuals from prosecution and prison. To maintain my protection from federal oversight and keep my conscience clear, I have a strict policy. I don't inquire about the origins of the funds, nor do I meddle in my clients' affairs. Oh, I'm aware of what these people do for a living, but I adhere to the principle, don't ask, and you won't be told any lies. The work I do has yielded a substantial fortune, and through my own strategies, I manage 16 bank accounts in 8 countries, 10 crypto wallets, and a corporation that owns my residence, vehicles, and covers all my bills and living expenses. I draw a yearly salary of $50,000 from this company for any unforeseen costs. The corporation turns a small profit each year, ensuring it remains legitimate in the eyes of tax authorities. This structure also insulates me from civil suits, legal actions, or divorce settlements, as my official net worth and income appear minimal. Many of my clients appreciate my value and, as a token of gratitude for resolving their financial predicaments, offer me things I cannot accept. They've proposed everything from women and drugs to trips and protection, almost anything imaginable. Until recently, I had never accepted any of it. However, my current circumstances have created a need to accept assistance with surveillance, protection, and certain applications of force. My business associates were thrilled to finally be able to help, thanking me for the work I'd done for them. My wife, Chloe, sees me as a risk mitigation specialist, which is technically true. I hold the certifications. She is unaware of my true income, the extent of my assets, or any of my offshore accounts. All she knows is that the company handles the mortgage on our multi-million-dollar property, car payments, and all other expenses. She never really questioned it, because she doesn't have to work, drives a new white Lexus SUV every year, and enjoys an unlimited budget for shopping and entertainment. I believed Chloe was happy and deeply in love with me throughout our 7 years of marriage. Chloe was incredible in bed. We often shared passionate, loving nights multiple times a week. Her wild nature and knowledge of how to excite me were matched by my ability to fulfill her fantasies. Fun, fantasy, sex, and love created a perfect combination. I was living in a paradise. But apparently, my paradise was on the verge of being struck by a Category 5 hurricane. Chloe and I had dated for 3 years before marrying when I was 24. We've been married for 7 years now. Chloe just turned 32, and with her full breasts, long, sexy legs, and stunning figure, she could easily be any man's fantasy trophy wife. Her blonde hair and captivating blue eyes could charm anyone. Men constantly looked at her, always pestering her, but she never reciprocated their advances, happily flashing her engagement ring and 4-carat diamond ring to signal she was taken. Before we married, I learned that in college, she had dated a man named Ryan Carter. She was deeply in love with him, but he wasn't prepared to settle down. Instead, Ryan joined the Army Rangers, and their relationship gradually faded away. Now, I discovered that 9 years later, Ryan Carter had left the service and returned to our city, and Chloe apparently couldn't move past her feelings for him. When Ryan returned from his 2 tours, he naturally reconnected with old friends, my wife included. Chloe had always been susceptible to his charm, and after he obtained her number from a mutual friend, he began texting and calling, trying to arrange a meetup for old time's sake. It was 2 months ago that Chloe's behavior started to change, likely stemming from the guilt of communicating with Ryan and concealing it. The excessive attention and additional sexual overtures towards me were enjoyable but out of character for her. While always attentive and cheerful, it was obvious from her actions that something was different. I didn't hesitate and began observing Chloe more closely. That weekend, a friend mentioned Ryan at a barbecue, noting he was back in town. When I asked about his return date, it perfectly aligned with the behavioral shifts I had observed in Chloe. The following day, I contacted one of my business associates, explained the situation, and mentioned I might require his assistance. He was eager for the opportunity to finally repay me for the money I had made him and for keeping him clear of federal trouble. I provided him with all the names and information, and he assured me I would be contacted shortly. I have no idea what these men do, but they swiftly provided me with a 4-inch thick dossier on Ryan Carter, containing nearly his entire life story. It included everything from a copy of his birth certificate and college transcripts to his family tree and military records. I now knew more about this man than his own mother. I also started receiving daily printouts of his text messages, which included over 18 messages a day to my wife. I was instructed not to ask how they acquired this information. Initially, the messages were cordial, what one would expect from an old friend. But after the first week, they turned sexual. I was relieved to see Chloe shut down his advances, but after another week of his persistence, he successfully broke through her defenses, and she began to flirt back. A bitter taste filled my mouth as my rage boiled over, reaching an intensity I hadn't experienced in years. My anger toward this predator intensified, knowing Chloe still harbored feelings for this creep and that trouble was inevitable. After 5 weeks of his flirting and texting, he persuaded Chloe to meet him for lunch. The man even had the audacity to ask her to wear something sexy for him because he missed her so much. To my absolute horror, she agreed, and even asked if she should forgo her panties, just like old times. A bitter taste filled my mouth as my rage boiled over, reaching an intensity I hadn't experienced in years. I consulted my business partners, and they offered several strategies for handling this guy. The consensus was that a direct, face-to-face confrontation during their lunch was the optimal strategy, with one of my people nearby for security if the situation escalated. Naturally, the exact time and location of their meeting were already known to me, thanks to the surveillance team my associate had assigned to this matter. I entered the restaurant and located them in a secluded area. My fury reignited when I saw Chloe in a sexy, low-cut dress with no bra. They were seated with their backs to the main dining room, nestled together on one side of a private booth, looking entirely too comfortable. I noticed a man tailing me, whom I correctly assumed was one of my bodyguards. As I approached their table, both my wife and her companion looked up. "Hello, Chloe," I said, sliding into the booth directly across from them. The large man who had been observing me now occupied a table 3 spots away, looking at Chloe with a disarmingly friendly smile. I asked, "Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend?" The atmosphere grew thick with tension as I held my gaze on Chloe's eyes. Ryan looked at me with a bewildered expression, but my wife's face was a mixture of shock and profound guilt. They remained side by side, their hands clasped on the table. Once the reality of the situation set in, she tried to pull her hand from Ryan's grasp, but he tightened his grip, offering me a smile that twisted into a self-satisfied smirk, a clear signal that she was with him. This arrogant predator clearly had no plans to retreat. "Honey, this is Ryan Carter. Ryan, this is my husband, Alex." I had never seen her so flustered. Ryan seemed to find the situation amusing, remaining silent while maintaining that knowing smirk, as if to say, "I've got your wife, and there's nothing you can do about it, buddy." Wasting no time, I looked directly at Chloe and said, attempting to keep my voice steady, "I hate to interrupt your lunch, but I need a few minutes alone with my wife. Could you let her out of the booth?" He reluctantly released her hand and slid out, allowing her to exit. She stood, clutching her purse against her exposed chest, positioned between Ryan and me, looking terrified and worried. I took her by the hand and guided her to the rear of the restaurant, toward the restrooms. Still trembling with nerves and guilt over being caught, she followed silently. I pulled her into the empty men's room and began to speak. "Chloe, you're not wearing a bra, and your breasts are practically falling out of that dress. You're dressed like a tramp, and I failed to understand this blatant disrespect towards me. She stood there, crying silently. I then lifted the hem of her dress, confirming my suspicion that she was indeed wearing no panties. She saw the look of horror, then pure rage, on my face. Holding her dress above her waist, I turned her to face the mirror, forcing her to see her own reflection. No panties. Is this how you dress when I'm not with you, Chloe? What the hell are you doing? Are you becoming some kind of fallen woman? This is unacceptable behavior for my wife, she screamed, yanking her dress down. No, it's not what it looks like. I know how this sounds, but I have a perfectly good explanation, and then you'll understand. I promise I'll explain. Using a commanding, dark tone she had never experienced from me, I articulated each word with slow, deliberate emphasis. Obviously, we need to discuss this. If you have any hope of remaining my wife, you will do precisely as I instruct. Failure to comply means you shouldn't even bother coming home because our marriage will be terminated, effective immediately. You will take your purse, walk out of this restaurant looking straight ahead without a single glance at your boyfriend. You will go directly to your car, drive home, start the coffee pot, and wait for my return. I will be no more than 15 minutes behind you. You are not to text or call your boyfriend or anyone else until we have spoken. I am going to have a word with your boyfriend and explain why you had to leave. I noted she wouldn't meet my eyes, which I attributed to the shame of being caught. And one more thing. When you get home, do not change your clothes. Remain in this dress. I want you waiting for me exactly as you are now. If you disregard this request, don't even bother coming home tonight. I will call you later to inform you how things will proceed from here. Chloe's perspective. My God, what have I done? When Ryan reached out, my initial reaction was relief, knowing he was safe and no longer in the military. His safety had always been a lingering worry. Ryan was my first love, and it took a very long time to get over him after he left me all those years ago. We drifted apart, and while the love was gone, I still thought of him. I know I love Alex. He has been the love of my life since the day we met. I would never intentionally hurt him or lose him, which is why this is so awful. Damn it. Ryan began flirting, saying all the things he knew would get a reaction out of me. He always had a way of making me act like a giddy schoolgirl, and I hated my inability to resist him. I attempted to deflect his advances, but the relentless flirting and sexually charged messages eventually eroded my resistance, and I foolishly agreed to meet him for lunch. Talking to him filled me with such guilt and shame. I knew I shouldn't be doing it, that I should have told Alex about Ryan being back in town and that we'd been in contact, but I kept it a secret, a decision I regret more than anything. Ryan has a talent for making me feel like I belong with him. When he asked me to wear something sexy, I just said, yes. I knew it was wrong. I shouldn't have even gone to lunch with him, let alone worn this dress. But I did it anyway. What possessed me to suggest coming without panties? Am I really that shallow and stupid? Yes. When we were dating, he always insisted I not wear them. When he invited me to lunch, it was like those old memories flooded back and felt normal again. Redoubled, I was on the verge of saying no, overwhelmed by guilt, but a text from Ryan declaring he couldn't wait to see me sealed my decision. Concealing this from Alex was difficult, but I rationalized it as just one lunch for old time's sake, a couple of hours, no harm done, just like he said. Ryan always knew how to persuade me to do things, even against my better judgment. I'll be honest, the moment I saw him in the restaurant, I felt a surge of arousal. I knew we had a unique chemistry, and now he looked even more appealing than I remembered. 9 years in the Army, Rangers had sculpted a physique of dense, beautiful muscle that any woman would fantasize about. My face flushed as he kissed me and led me to a private booth. It felt just like old times. We were laughing, and it was as if he had never left. I felt happy, excited to be in his presence, and when he took my hand in his across the table, A sense of safety and warmth washed over me. We had only been there for a few minutes, laughing and enjoying ourselves, when, from seemingly nowhere, Alex materialized before us. The next thing I knew, he was sitting directly opposite us, a sadistic smile playing on his lips that sent an icy shiver down my spine. My heart felt like it stopped as the reality of what I was doing and what it looked like crashed down on me. When Alex's gaze dropped to our clasped hands, my world shattered. I saw the raw pain and fury in his eyes, and I had an overwhelming urge to leap across the table, wrap my arms around him, tell him how much I loved him, and erase his pain. I could never deliberately hurt Alex, but that is precisely what I had done. The look of disgust and contempt he gave me broke my heart. The man I love, the man I've been with for the last 7 years, was staring at me, sitting with another man, a former lover. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there, frozen and mute. When Alex said he needed to speak with me, my heart fractured, fully expecting him to declare it was over between us. When he dragged me into the men's room, I was clueless as to what would happen. Then, he lifted my dress, exposing the fact I wore no panties, and I nearly collapsed. I can only imagine what was going through his mind. In that instant, I felt like a cheap, cheating wife. The way he spoke, the way he carried himself, terrified me to my core. I knew I had to obey him. To have any chance of saving our marriage and making him understand, I had to fix this, and that meant agreeing to whatever he demanded. Then, when he announced he was going to speak with Ryan alone, fear seized me. Ryan is much larger than Alex, and with 9 years of Army Ranger training, I was terrified that Alex might get hurt. I wanted to beg him not to, but my mind was a confused mess. I tried to apologize, but Alex simply repeated his command to go home and that he would be there shortly. When he ordered me not to change my clothes, I knew I was in deep trouble, and that explaining my actions would be an uphill battle. How did I let Ryan convince me to do this? I didn't want him back in my life. I just wanted to indulge in some nostalgia and have a little fun. But from Alex's perspective, I must have looked like I was moments away from having sex with Ryan. Crap, how do I possibly fix this? I felt the weight of every stare as I walked through the restaurant to my car. I didn't dare look at Ryan. I knew he must be wondering where I was going. It took several minutes before my sobs subsided enough for me to drive. It was the longest drive of my life. The memory of the pain in Alex's eyes brought on a fresh wave of tears. How could I have done this to him? I cannot believe I allowed Ryan to manipulate me so easily. Somehow, I have to make Alex understand and forgive me. Damn, I am so screwed right now, and it's entirely because of Ryan and my own stupidity. When I arrived home, I put on the coffee and sat there, my mind racing. What was happening in their conversation? How long until Alex came home? Would he scream at me? Could our marriage be saved? I need it to be. I don't want a life without Alex, and he must know that he is the only one I truly love and want. Alex's perspective. I returned to the table and resumed my seat opposite Ryan. Well, it appears Chloe won't be rejoining us. I just wanted a moment to chat with you. I am certain you're aware that Chloe still has feelings for you and is, as you've demonstrated today and over the last few weeks, quite susceptible to manipulation. But you must understand this. She is married to me, and I am not going to share her. I am not a possessive or reckless man. Therefore, today I will give Chloe a choice. She can either stay in our marriage, or she can leave me for you. There is no in between. She will make this decision of her own accord, free from your influence. May the best man win. If she chooses you, so be it. But if she chooses to remain in our marriage, she will have no further contact with you. If you do not hear from her by the end of the day, I expect you to never call or text her again. Do you comprehend what I'm saying? Listen, dude, I'll call or text her whenever I please. She's a grown woman who makes her own decisions. She doesn't belong to you. I can guarantee one thing. She'll be with me again, eventually. She can't resist the memories of our sex life. Sorry, but you'll just have to deal with it, he said, that same arrogant smirk plastered on his face. Oh, Ryan, I was hoping you'd be a reasonable man. I mean, you're a good-looking guy, big and muscular. I am sure there are hundreds of single women who would be thrilled to have you. Why can't men like you simply leave married women alone? You see, Ryan, you might be the big, macho type that Chloe still has a weakness for, but you are severely underestimating me. Look, Ryan, you have no concept of what I do for a living or the circles I move in. And that, my friend, is your first critical error. There, Willibit. I know everything about you, Ryan. Everything you've done. By the way, how are your parents, Richard and Helen? They're quite fond of their 2 dogs, Max and Buddy, aren't they? You know, it's been over 4 years since you visited your sister Sarah in Denver, Colorado. Her 3 daughters are growing up fast and would love to see their Uncle Ryan. Oh, and your best friend Mike's girlfriend is pregnant with a boy. I don't believe she shared the news with him yet, but I'm sure he'll be thrilled. I've read every single one of your text messages to Chloe, and I must admit, you are persistent. Look, you may present as a big, dangerous man, but the associates I keep in my line of work are genuinely ruthless, and they are significantly indebted to me. Now, I grinned at him. Just as you said, she can't resist you. But tonight, we will determine who the better man is. Does she want a macho loser like you, or will she honor our 7-year marriage? See, Ryan, I am going to be entirely objective about this. I'm presenting her with a choice, a very simple one. She can choose to be with you, which means leaving me and our marriage. If that is her decision, I will respect it and wish you both well. I refuse to live with a woman who desires another man, and I will not share her. It will be painful, but I would rather release her now and move forward. On the other hand, should she decide to remain faithful, certain adjustments will be necessary for her after today's performance with you. The 2 of you have severely compromised my trust, and it will have to be rebuilt. As for you, if she stays with me, all contact ceases. That means no texts, no emails, no calls, and no reaching out through mutual friends. You will vanish from her life. If you enter a restaurant and see her, you will turn around and leave. If you are at a party or a club and see her, you will exit immediately. You will make no attempt to contact her behind my back, because the agony you will endure will be unlike anything you have ever known. Your loved ones will bear the cost of your foolishness. Do you understand my words? Do you grasp the gravity of this situation? Ryan just sat there, his face a mask of stunned disbelief, clearly unable to process the situation. How the hell do you know so much about my family and my life? As I mentioned, I have many associates who owe me favors, and these are not people you want to become entangled with. I may appear to be a mild-mannered man, but let's just say there are layers to me you cannot see. Are you genuinely offering her the chance to leave you for me? I am a man of my word. Yes, if she were any other woman who had shown me the level of disrespect she did with you today, I would have already thrown her out and destroyed her life. But I love this woman, and I will extend to her one chance, and one chance only. If you are correct, and she finds you irresistible, then by midnight tonight, she will contact you, and she will be yours. The alternative is that she forgets you, honors her wedding vows, and remains my loyal wife. If she stays with me, you will be dead to her, and you will cease to interfere in our marriage. Alex, I hope you'll honor your word about letting us live in peace, because I'm confident she will choose to be with me. That's what she's indicated, and I know how much she desires me, Ryan said, attempting a confident and principled tone. The man was arrogant, but a sliver of doubt made me wonder if he was right. I would know soon enough. I rose to leave. I hope to never hear your name again, or be forced to do things I would prefer not to. But we shall see. As I walked away, the man from the shadows stood, fixed Ryan with a long, menacing stare, and then departed a minute after I did. Ryan then received a message informing him that I had a bodyguard and that he had likely misjudged me as a harmless, meek husband. The drive home was a contemplation of whether the woman I loved so deeply would ever be in my bed again. Would she choose him and abandon our life, or would she honor her vows? When I entered the house, silence greeted me. She was at the kitchen table, nervously sipping coffee, tears glistening in her eyes. I poured myself a cup and sat across from her. Chloe, I know everything. That includes every text message you exchanged with Ryan. Before you ask how, just understand that I have many associates from my business dealings who are indebted to me, and they are individuals you would be better off never meeting. You, Everett. Now, I know you're sorry, so please hold your words. They are meaningless to me right now. You have betrayed my love. Today, you committed an act I never thought you capable of, something I never expected. By prioritizing him, you have shown me profound disrespect as your husband. You know my principles. I will not coexist with a woman who disrespects me, our vows, and the sanctity of our marriage. Many people believe the definition of a cheating spouse is confined to a physical act with a lover. Some even argue a kiss isn't cheating. But in my world, even the thought of being with another man constitutes a betrayal. Kisses and caresses are far beyond the pale of deception and are utterly unacceptable. The conversations you had with Ryan, the provocative dress worn without a bra, your suggestion to come without panties, the way you sat holding his hand in my eyes, each of these actions individually is a betrayal, but collectively, they amount to treason. You gave your affection and attention to a man outside of our marriage. Yes, it's clear there was no kissing, and that is the sole reason we are still having this conversation. You should know that I will never share you, and I will not tolerate an unfaithful wife. I am aware of your history with Ryan, and I understand that residual feelings may exist. However, I also know that you are married to me, and I can state unequivocally that I will not share you with him or anyone else. The reason you have not been thrown out of this house is because I love you fiercely and will do what is necessary to keep us together. However, before we proceed, I have a question. Do not lie, as I may already possess the answer. While you were sitting with him, pantyless, did he touch you? Has any man other than me touched you there during our marriage? No, I swear, never. No one has ever done that, only you. But you were prepared to let him do it today, weren't you? I pressed. She lowered her head, and fresh tears began to fall. I don't know. I didn't mean for this to happen. No, I am so sorry for all of this. I'm such an idiot. Please, Alex, forgive my stupidity. Well, had he touched you there, this conversation would be over. It seems that, aside from holding hands in a series of inappropriate text messages, nothing has occurred that irrevocably ends our marriage. Though I am profoundly disappointed in your conduct, tell me, why did you wear that dress? Flaunting yourself. The truth. Did you intend to seduce him? To get him into your bed? Oh God, no. I would never do that. It's difficult to explain. I just wanted to feel sexy for him, to relive some of those old feelings. I know it was stupid and selfish, but he just has this ability to get me to do things. I never planned to sleep with him. You must believe me. Chloe, I want to believe you, but your actions today lead to a critical question that requires an answer. I have told you I will never share you with another man. I will also not remain married to a woman who is in love with another man and wishes to be with him. I am going to give you a choice, and I want you to consider it with the utmost seriousness, because once your choice is made, I will not tolerate a repeat of this betrayal or disrespect. I know you love me, and I understand your past connection to Ryan, which is why I am giving you this choice. I want you to choose between Ryan and your marriage. If you want to be with him, I will let you go. I will ensure the divorce is fair, and I will permit you both to live in peace, without any form of retaliation. Or you can choose to remain in our marriage, stay faithful to me, and honor your wedding vows. It is a simple choice, but one with permanent consequences. Now, if you choose Ryan, I will expect you to have your belongings out of this house by the weekend, and I will initiate divorce proceedings immediately. If you choose to stay married, you will have no further involvement with Ryan. Not today. Not ever. He will be dead to you. I then detailed the same conditions I had given Ryan. Never be in the same place at the same time, and the certainty that I would know if she broke the rules. She agreed, without a moment's hesitation. So, Chloe, today, you have a get-out-of-jail-free card. This is a singular opportunity, a one-time offer. You must choose between your ex-lover and your devoted husband. I am going to take a shower. When I return, I require an answer. Choose wisely. Before I could even leave the kitchen, she blurted out, "Of course I choose you, honey. I love you. I don't want anyone else." "Chloe, you betrayed me today," I said calmly. "I heard your words, but I want you to sit here and think about it. Think carefully. If we remain married, you will have to rebuild the trust we once shared. You will also need to help me navigate the pain and anger you've caused, which will not be a simple task. Take your time. Give me your answer after I return. Considering your behavior today and your apparent feelings for Ryan, this decision is too significant to be made impulsively. It requires deep, honest reflection." I left her at the table, her head buried in her hands, crying. I took my time in the shower, dressing slowly. When I returned to the kitchen, she rushed to me, throwing her arms around my neck, kissing me. "Alex, I will never leave you. I will never do anything like that again, I promise. I will make this up to you and be the perfect wife. I am your wife, and I want to have your children. Please, don't leave me. You are the only man in my life. I love you," she said, kissing me and holding me tighter than ever before. Is it body? We embraced for several minutes, the raw emotion of the moment enveloping us. Then, I lifted her into my arms, carried her to our bedroom, and reclaimed my wife. My lingering anger fueled my actions as I took possession of this beautiful woman, and she surrendered herself to me completely. "I love you. Alex, please take me," she whispered, pulling me closer and kissing me with tender urgency. I made love to her for what felt like an eternity, and together, in a state of ecstasy, we reached sublime heights. Afterward, we lay entwined in silence for an hour, the outside world ceasing to exist. We were husband and wife again, and in that moment, we both understood that nothing would ever come between us again. The next day, Ryan reflected, "Crap, she didn't call. I guess she chose to stay with that idiot. I can't believe it. The way we connected, the way she acted. I was sure she'd want to be with me. I know if I'd just been able to get her into bed that day, she would have left Alex in a second. As soon as I can make that happen, she'll be mine again." Her husband completely derailed my plans. Who is this guy, and how does he know so much about me and my family? Well, I'm not finished. I'm confident I can still win her back. Sorry, Alex, but you're going to lose this girl. A few days later, the idiot Ryan actually texted Chloe, trying to persuade her to leave me for him. This came as no surprise. The good news was that Chloe immediately showed me the message and did not reply. I informed her that I had already seen his text and was pleased with her decision not to respond, noting that her transparency was a crucial step in rebuilding our trust. The next day, I sent a text to Ryan. "Have your parents managed to find Max and Buddy?" Ryan immediately called his parents, who tearfully told him their beloved dogs were missing. The realization that his actions had caused them this pain, especially after my warning, finally hit him. I had arranged for the dogs to disappear for a few days, under excellent care, of course. simply to demonstrate the seriousness of the situation. Ryan called me back moments after speaking with his parents. "What the hell did you do? They better be alive, or I swear to God I'll kill you, you bastard." Well, Ryan, you won't be in a position to kill anyone. If anyone is going to die, it will be you, my friend. I warned you to stay away from Chloe, but you chose to disregard that warning. I also told you that if you involved yourself with her again, you would experience a pain unlike any you have ever known. This was just a minor demonstration. Now, I am sure the dogs will be returned shortly, but let me be perfectly clear. This is your final warning. Never contact Chloe again. Have I made myself understood? Yes, but they'd better be returned unharmed. Ryan, because you ignored my explicit instructions, I will do whatever I deem necessary, and you will live with the consequences of my actions. Now, given that you just threatened my life, they might return in good condition, or they might not. I haven't decided. Your tone certainly doesn't inspire mercy. In fact, now I'm not even sure they'll come back at all. How does that sound, you idiot? I wonder if your mother and father should know exactly why their precious puppies have vanished. Perhaps I should give them a call. What do you think of that idea, idiot? Okay. I'm sorry. Please, just bring them back. I'll stay away. I promise. That's better. But the next time, it won't be the dogs that go missing. Do you understand my point? Accepted. I understand. I promise I will stay out of her life. You won't hear from me again. So, when will they be back? They'll be home soon, Ryan. You know, I'm 1,000 miles away. I can't control every detail, and the people I associate with have their own methods. But I will speak to them and see what can be done. Ryan, I truly hope we never have to have this conversation again, because the next time, you will be facing far more significant problems. At 3 a.m. the following night, Ryan's distraught parents cried tears of joy as their beloved dogs reappeared, barking on their porch. They never discovered what had happened, where the dogs had been, or that their own son was the cause of their distress. When Ryan heard the news, he was immensely relieved. He even sent me a one-word text. Thank you. Ryan finally grasped the reality of his situation. He stayed away from Chloe and took a job in another city, several hours away. He made attempts to learn more about me, but could never find anything beyond the public record of Alex Cole, risk mitigation specialist. He eventually realized that information about me was sealed, and he wisely decided to move on and start a new life, leaving his old flame behind. However, as long as Ryan was alive, I knew a possibility remained that he could re-enter her life. So, 3 weeks after the incident, I presented Chloe with a postnuptial agreement drafted by my attorney. It stipulated that in the event of any future infidelity on her part, she would forfeit everything, including her rights to any children born during our marriage. While it couldn't prevent a repeat of her encounter with Ryan, it provided a powerful incentive for her to consider the consequences. Between my renewed attention and her awareness of my constant vigilance, combined with the postnuptial agreement, we were now fortified against any future storms. About 18 months later, Chloe became pregnant with our first child, and our bond grew stronger than ever. Chloe understood how close she had come to destroying her life and dedicated herself to my happiness and the strength of our family. Ryan Carter's name was never mentioned again. It was as if he had never existed. One day could have shattered everything forever, but my love and my strategic handling of the situation preserved our marriage.